Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and we all know that yesterday Wizards decided to ban 7 cards because of their alleged racist depictions, names, or implications, or whatever. I mean, 3 or 4 of them were a gigantic stretch, like a ridiculous leap in logic, like cleanse. And then Invoke Prejudice, well, that's what happens when you hire somebody who makes racist art for a living to make your card art. Shocker, he drew you some racist card art. And even then, it's not that offensive on the face. Most people I show it to and they're like, yeah, and? Well, it kind of looks like this, but a lot of stuff kind of looks like something. But, well, my Discord server in the comment section on the last video looked through the Gatherer and, well, when they took the Gatherer offline, it's currently offline, I wonder why, Scryfall, and, well, even like Card Kingdom and whatever. We found some gems. We found 43 more cards that they might have missed. And I'll be honest with you, a couple of these make Invoke Prejudice look tame. The worst of the worst that I found is a $50 Commander staple, so we'll see if they have the balls to ban that. You know exactly which one I'm talking about. But literally nothing in this entire video is any more of a leap in logic than their ridiculous ones from yesterday. But late yesterday, it would appear that Wizards got some whispers, some varied whispers on social media that they might have missed a couple. I mean, their Twitter replies to the initial announcement was just like basically a stock ticker of racist imagery. And, you know, willing full exaggerations. I threw a couple of those into this video, but let's just have some fun. But yeah, they did follow it up with, we are starting a review of every card. I mean, if you count art variations, that's over 50,000. So every card we have printed. This first pass isn't meant to be an exhaustive catalog of every problematic card in Magic's history, and we will continue to take actions on similar cards in the future. We just can't have them banning 200 or 300 cards. We can't do that, and that's probably realistically how many they'll find. That's ridiculous. Just erase the art from the database if you want to be overreacting dumbasses, or just drop it and stop looking for racism everywhere that it isn't, okay? It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's have a little fun. First up, we've got the, I think, French version of the card Delay. Most people would say, yeah, that's how Latin works, that's how root words work, and I'm not an immature 12-year-old who would laugh at this. But you know who are immature 12-year-olds? Wizards of the Coast SJW Card Book Burning Digital Revisionist History Department, aka the 1984 Department, aka the Thought Police. So yep, Delay is out, 100% Delay is out. They can't not ban this. Next up, just a clarification from the first video. Somebody sent me like a high-res scan of the card cleanse. Very much appreciate that. Yeah, the dude in the purple robe is not a humanoid. If anything, that's a Disturbed album cover. Oh no, you can't say cleanse and black creatures and foul beasts in the same card, I guess, because some absolute reaching idiot might call it racist. What an absolute joke. Nothing in this video is more of a stretch than cleanse, I assure you. Except for I think like 2 that I put in as a joke. Next up, oh my gosh, are you ready for this one? Disruptive Student, and he's black. If the artist's instructions were literally draw a black person as if they looked like a goblin. By the way, that's Teferi. Referring to black students as disruptive students is extremely offensive in America, in case you're like not from here. It's a stereotype that comes out of like inner city schools, and wow. And I mean, I'm no Tolarian Academy expert, but I don't think they have a whole lot of black students. So singling Teferi out and being like, here's the disruptive one. Wow. Plus an automatic counterspell on a stick? Are you kidding me? I find that more offensive. Oh, and then we've got the quote on the bottom. Teferi is a problem student, always late for class, no appreciation for constructive use of time. Oh, they even threw in the T word. You ever heard the term CPT, aka the incredibly racist and incorrect stereotype that black people are always late for everything? You know who's always late for everything? My sister-in-law, and she is white as shit. But wait, it doesn't end there. We've got Confiscate, where they made Teferi look like a human being. Unfortunately, all those black students are back at it again, bringing Contraband into the classroom. Better confiscated, you know those troublemakers. Then you got like the chick in the back just like laughing at him like, yeah, bust him. There wouldn't really be anything wrong with this one if it wasn't for the other card. Where clearly Tolarian Academy has a race problem. In the lore, not, you know. Next, anti-white racism with Virtue's Rune. It's a 3-cost black sorcery, and destroy all white creatures. All must fall, and those who stand highest fall hardest. Wow. So if we're gonna jump on Wizards' bullshit narrative train that White literally means white people in the entire game, not a mana-aligned color or a concept of light or anything going back 10,000 years into human history. And dark or black automatically means African Americans, obviously. Well, then this is pretty messed up. They're just going to have to remove the 2 colors from the game if they can't, stop being children about it. Paranoid, delusional children. But yeah, all rich, powerful people that control everything and have all the power are white, so they got to fall the hardest. That's some Antifa bullshit right there, so they're probably actually 100% behind this card. Next up, Cabal Slaver. Just everything about it. I'm not sure what kind of ethnic racist depiction that slaver is, for one. Some kind of caricature, but just slavery in general. Yeah, it's a goblin, but if you read the quote, in its natural habitat, the goblin is stupid, yet devious. Wow, apply that to other enslaved groups in history. I mean, I look at the card and I'm like, slavery is bad. Yes, that's a bad character. But they're like, nope, erase it from the game. So they can't possibly offend any more people with slavery depicted on a card, right? Enslaved dwarf. Little bit offensive to little people. Which, seriously, how is the term little person less offensive than, like, dwarf or midget? Which really means nothing to me. It's just, yeah, small person, cool. But, like, little person? Really? That's the term we're landing on? Okay. Anyway, what we should do with all vertically challenged people is enslave them, obviously, and then put a quote on the bottom that says, captive dwarves always regain their freedom either through escape or through a desperate, fiery death. Holy shit. And Therese Nielsen did the art. This card is a disaster. Oh, don't forget the actual ability, sacrifice enslaved dwarf. I didn't even read the whole thing. Target black creature gets +1 and gains first strike till end of turn. Oh, we might have a new winner, but I already know what's coming up in a couple cards. Next up, Enslaved Scout. Yes, I just typed the word enslaved into the gatherer before they took it offline because gotta suppress information, guys. Well, we got a white horse, white dress, white everything. I mean, honestly, that's not necessarily not a KKK member. And then they chained up, well, it says summon goblin, but like, they look pretty humanoid for goblins and they're wearing clothes, but that face though, my God, that's like a Neanderthal, like some kind of like eugenic Nazi thing. I mean, oh, this is like right off a propaganda poster right there. They got a little too far from goblin, a little too close to human on that one, I think. Who's it offensive to? I don't know, humankind. Next up, the most offensive card that I found, Landtax. Let's see, gigantic Jewish caricature, wearing gold jewelry, wearing gold ornaments on his clothes, wearing vaguely Jewish imagery as golden, like, ornaments. Plus, he's just honestly dressed like a pimp. I mean, crooked eyes, scraggly hair, like, they might as well have just made his nose 3 times bigger and just went full-blown Nazi propaganda poster. Plus, hello, tax collector. That in itself is like an offensive Jewish stereotype. It's like Wizards of the Coast was not even trying to hide the fact that they're like, hey, the Jewish guy's here to collect your money and he wants gold coins and he's wearing a bunch of gold and he looks like he has some kind of degenerate wasting disease with his crooked eyes and pimp outfit. Holy shit, is this offensive. So if you're looking at Brian Snotty's artwork here and thinking, maybe it was an accident, maybe you shouldn't go to briansnottyart.com and look dead ass center at the first image. Yeah, maybe Asian people look like that in your head, but not in reality. That is truly amazing. So considering this is a $50 plus commander staple, I would love to see them ban this and see the outrage over this. Then again, it's probably the single most offensive, racially insensitive caricature I've ever seen on a card ever. So next up, we got Notorious Arrestor. Uh-oh, that's like blue and white. That's police right there. I mean, it literally is the police. And that says, you have the right to remain silent, mostly because I tire of your excuses. Whoa, arrogant, power-abusing cop. How dare they? I'm so offended. Next up, we've got Indentured Oaf, which has the flavor text of, all it knows is the difference between friend and food. Yeah, if you know American history, this is a little bit offensive. Indentured farm workers that came over under like a work, debt contract from England. Yeah, that's my American ancestors there that were suffering through a completely rigged, dishonest system where they just were constantly in debt and weren't paid enough to get out of debt. So they're basically just barely paid slaves working on the farms in early 1700s. Except I'm lying and all my ancestors got here on a boat in like 1880. And don't forget, indentured workers no smart, otherwise they wouldn't have fallen for a scam. Next up, we got the card Flash, which thankfully was just banned from Commander. 1, because screw this card, and 2, because, well, that's quite possibly the most racist caricature I've seen of an African person in quite a while. I mean, the lips, the skin color distortion, the hair, Wow. And the art was done by David Ho, a Chinese-American artist. Feel free to go anywhere in China and ask them what they think of black people. I'll give you a hint. They will walk up to a black person on the street and shame them for being so black, and then put up a sign on their apartment building that says, "We do not rent to blacks." In 2020, that's happening. Because their entire image of black people comes from Hollywood, which, let's be honest, is probably not where black people should be getting their image of black people and black culture from either. Next up, I threw this one in just because a lot of people recommended it, and it's like, okay, cultural stereotype or accurate depiction? It's just like the entire Kamigawa block, the entire Arabian Nights block. It's like, yeah, this is probably accurate, but like, would some people see it as, somewhere between cultural appropriation and, oh, look, we made him look like this because, haha, isn't that funny? Oh, people from, ancient Middle East are so funny looking and their, clothes are so wacky, let's put it on a card. Without context and intent, you don't know, but somebody else said, well, the whole, oh, every street vendor in the Middle East is trying to sell you jewelry. Also not terrifically untrue, but also, like, kind of a stereotype, but, like, I don't think anybody in that group cares, because, like, yes, people will try to sell you jewelry on the street. This is what they do there. Hell, street vendors are really big almost everywhere in the world other than America, and most of them sell really tasty food. You know why everybody seems to like flea markets and farmers markets so much in America? Because they're freaking awesome. They're really convenient and compact and great. So it's like, this is the classic one where it's like, oh, depiction of a person of a certain group. Yeah, and? Oh, and also, are you saying that everybody from the Middle East back then was named Ali? Oh, they're all Alibaba, and they're all riding around on carpets with genies. Or maybe they wanted a respectful, historic depiction of somebody from that time period and era. Like, you don't know. That's why everybody going around like, oh, you can't do that. I don't know. But what you really can't do is tie a goblin to almost cross, and then slap the name Tivard. I can't even read this damn thing. Tividar's Crusade on it. And then you put a generic power fist in the corner. Yeah, what's wrong with that? And then all goblins are destroyed, promoting genocide. But goblins aren't real, Daz. Yeah, well, neither are any of the jumps in logic that Wizards is doing with these cards, so ban this one too. Then we've got Celestial Purge. This one I kind of included because it's like, it's such a stretch, but it's as much of a stretch as Cleanse. So Purge is, it's been known to be a eugenics term. It's been known to be a Nazi thing. So, and then it says exile target black or red permanent. If you're going to apply the same standard as Cleanse, where you need to jump to like 9 different conclusions and then completely ignore any kind of intent, I guess we won't be seeing this card anytime soon. But seriously, an exile card that costs 2 and works 2/5 of the time. It's not even a good card. I hate color locked cards. Next up, we've got Devout Decree. Exile target creature or planeswalker that's black or red, and that's their depiction of what a black or red creature would look like. And don't forget, it's not punishment. I am simply making things as they should be. Whoa, what'd you say there, Hitler? Next up, White Knight, which is obviously offensive to simps, and low-T beta male soy boy activists on Twitter, coming to the defense of their damsel in distress. Or maybe since this was printed in 2011, I assume before that term existed, maybe they just meant a knight that's aligned to white since he costs double white, and white is one of the 5 colors in the game. Nah, that can't be it. But it has first strike and protection from black. Just black. But wait, it also says, out of the blackness and stench of the engulfing swamp emerged a shimmering figure. Only the splattered armor and ichor-stained sword hinted at the unfathomable evil the knight had just laid waste. You'd have to be some kind of paranoid dumbass to see anything racial about this, but that's Wizards of the Coast. The flavor text could have literally been these disgusting abomination, black, smelly pieces of shit creatures make me sick to my ass, and I'm glad I killed them all. And still I'd be like, yes, go look up what the typical black creature looks like in the context of this game on The Gatherer, which you can't because it's offline. If you're like, well, they're clearly meant black people, you're an idiot. Next up, Pale Rider of Trostad. It's a 2-cost that has Skulk. When it enters the battlefield, discard a card. It's a 3/3, and it says, what's worse than being alone on the Moor's Night? Try not being alone. That's actually pretty clever. I like that. So what's offensive about this? What, they called him pale? Revelations, Bible imagery, Pale Rider. Religious appropriation for use in a very not serious card game. That could be construed as very offensive. Next up, Bird at the Stake. Obviously deeply offensive to witches, whose ancestors had to suffer through this. Yeah, right. They all came over to the same boat as my ancestors. Bullshit. Plus, witches are all just glorified Satanists pretending that they're some naturey hipster people. I wish we could still burn them today. Next up, how am I the only one who thought of this, guys? This is considered one of the most overreacted to cards in the history of the game. Triumphant Ferocity. It promotes violence against women. Except it doesn't. I don't know if you knew this, but Garruk's the bad guy in the story, and bad people do bad things. That's why we call them the bad guy. Nothing about this is like, this is okay and we're promoting it. Just a bunch of overreacting dumbasses. And I think Wizards actually apologized for this artwork, but then didn't do shit about it. Well, it's coming back around again, so. In fact, it literally says for the flavor text, rid me of this curse, witch, or die with me. Like, it's like, hi, I'm doing this in revenge. You freaking curse me, you bitch. Next up, Torbrand, Thane of the Redfell. I don't know or care why this is offensive. I just want it banned. I don't know, short people. There you go, get rid of all the dwarves. No more short people in the game, no more referring to them as dwarves, despite massive fantasy history to cite. Next up, oh, we are back. It's reparations. We got the white dude on the left saying, fine, take it. We got the black folks on the right being like, cool, thanks for the reparations. And then we've got their village burning in the background with billowing smoke. And then we've got the flavor text, sorry I burned down your village, here's some gold. That's gotta be sarcastic, so I mean, they're offensive to actual reparations after slavery. This is like sarcastic and offensive to modern day African Americans asking for reparations, which I personally think is ridiculous, but whatever. No need to like sarcastically, snarkily make fun of it. It's not completely unfounded, it's just unrealistic. And then we got the character skin color in the art, so there's just everything wrong with this. I will say though, holy shit is this going into my commander deck. Whenever the Oracle text is updated, but you'll get it. Whenever target opponent successfully casts a spell that targets you or a creature you control, you may draw a card. They basically got rid of the word successfully. It doesn't have to resolve. So they target you with anything, boom, draw a card. I'm gonna rename my commander deck, which is the Don't Swing At Me deck, to the Don't Swing At Me or Target Me with Anything deck. This card's amazing. I'm probably gonna order it right now. Next up, we got Murder Investigation. Oh, I don't know about this one. Every death has a web of consequences. Our job is to find the spider. All three of the cops are white, despite the fact that two of them are women. Hooray for representation. And when enchanted creature dies, put X11 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is its power. Are you saying that more cops show up, the more powerful, like rich and powerful and famous the person is? Because first of all, yes. And secondly, the victim's white in that imagery, so there's that. And is this implying that all the police have to be white? No, obviously not, but I brought it up to show how unbelievably far they're probably going to go with this. Next up, one of the many I found myself, and I'm real proud of this one. It's Blind Fury, where we've got two stereotypical tribal Africans totally not simultaneously upholding the stereotypes that more third world tribal folks are more violent and prone to fury and fighting each other constantly. And don't forget the angry black man stereotype. And then, ooh, we got the Jamaican voodoo shadows in the background. Wow, they just ticked all the boxes on this one. Ooh, must be two different tribes, witch doctors fighting each other and casting magic shadow spells. F***ing hell, this is offensive. What? You're saying I included it just because it's a red spell that says double all combat damage? What? By the way, it is only assigned to creatures, not to player, because that would be broken. Then we've got basically the same damn thing, Mark of Fury. I mean, first of all, that's a glorified caveman. Secondly, oh, you know those tribal folks and their face paint and it makes them go into a furious rage and they're all so violent. Because don't forget, many Keldon warriors bear the mark of intentional insanity. And I'm not sure that's not a witch doctor sitting in the bottom left there. So here we go again. Next up, Eye for an Eye, which they stole from, let's see, the Jewish people, Muslims, and Christians. It's in all three books, if I'm not mistaken. And then it's an old, overly violent punishment. And by old, I mean, I'm pretty sure Syria still does it in 2020. With the whole, oh, it's a Middle Eastern stereotype. That one, they look like that. That's a caricature if I've ever seen one. And then, those darn Middle Easterns, cutting off people's hands in the public market because they stole something. Which, like I said, isn't even a stereotype. They do that. That's what they do. But, can't put it on a card or it would be seen as offensive, Also, how is this not already in my commander deck? I am finding so many cards that I'm missing here. Next up, either piety or piety. I still don't know how to pronounce that. I'm too lazy to look it up. It literally has a quote from the Quran on it. You want to devalue the alleged word of God? Put it on a children's card game for ages 13 and up. A lot of people told me they don't really care. Hey, whatever. They put a verse from the Quran on there. Cool. But in the official lore, they made Allah one of the like actual gods on one of the planes. Like in a fantasy scenario that's not supposed to be Earth. Considering that's the religion that reacts very badly to stuff like that, wow. Maybe they'd care if they put Muhammad on a card. I mean, that, you know what I'm saying? How do we know that's not Muhammad on the card? Anyway, Dark Betrayal. Clearly, despite being a minotaur and a shadow creature, it's definitely depicting black on black crime. And then it only gets worse when you say, you're just like me, ruthless, cunning, and ambitious. Obviously, you're a threat. Yeah, they're just promoting that black on black violence again. This was just hypocritical, so I threw it in Persecute artist. It's a 3-cost. Choose an artist other than Rebecca Quaid. That's actually pretty funny. Target player reveals his or her hand and discards all non-land cards by the chosen artist. The torches and pitchforks were no match for Rebecca's fans. And then they turned around and persecuted Therese Nielsen, an LGBTQ plus whatever the hell activist lesbian artist, because she hit like on a Trump tweet. So you're not allowed to persecute their favorite artists until they do it themselves. And then allegedly she was seen as anti-trans or whatever. If you're wondering what happened to make this card be a thing, by the way, it's the same story as the unhinged card Fascist Art Director. Around 2002, the art director, Jeremy Cranford, said that, no, we're not going to have Rebecca Quaid do any more artwork for anything ever again because her works are too feminine. There was a bit of backlash, and then Wizards tried to bury it by saying, oh no, we just didn't contract her for art for Legions in 2003. And then they promptly obviously fired Cranford, right? Wrong, he was there till 2006. And I don't even know that they necessarily fired him. Every statement I could find is he left his position, which, you know, that's what they always say. They did specifically say that they were sad to see him go and that he wanted to pursue new opportunities elsewhere. So, and like, hello, 3 years later, really? So yeah, I don't think there was ever really any actual consequences. And then fast forward to 2019, where clearly the art direction was make all the women fat and ugly because men are the worst. Didn't learn the first time, did ya? So anyway, after that little adventure, we've got Persecute. It's really just the word. I mean, the person in jail is clearly in sarcastic whiteface. Could be a Japanese kabuki theater actor. I mean, if you don't look too hard, I mean, that's a suit of armor, not a kimono. But then again, the whole art really falls apart for me because why would they let somebody in a suit of armor sit in a jail cell? Pretty sure they take the armor away if you go to prison. I mean, we got a Panther reference, could be Black Panthers. Is it, you know, reverse racism, which is not a real thing, you know, black people persecuting white people, and yeah, I don't know. It's about as tight of a reference as Cleanse, which is why they're probably going to ban this. Next up, oh, I dusted this off the historic pile. It's Earthmine. This has been complained about for like 20 years. Tying women to the ground is not okay, even if they have wings and aren't women, they're fairies, and I think she might be an elf, maybe? Look at the ear. Yeah, that's not a human. Still super duper offensive violence against women, though, and people who identify as fairies. Oh, you thought I was joking. That's a real thing. Look it up. Some people think they're cats, too. Next up, we got Angelic Voices. We've got a practically albino level of white person right there. And then it says, creatures you control get +1/+1, as long as you control no non-artifact, non-white creatures. Well, they might as well just put a picture of 2 restroom doors with whites only on one of them. If you're a paranoid idiot who sees racism everywhere, otherwise there's nothing wrong with this card. Because I don't know if you knew this or not, but white's one of the colors in the game. It refers to the mana alignment in the color pie. And then there's Honor the Pure, where we have a 2-cost white enchantment. White creatures you control get +1/+1. Together the soldiers were like a golden blade, cutting down their enemies and scarring the darkness. Oh, darkness, I don't know. They said the D word. And the people are white, and the card's white, and it's white creatures. Next up, we've got Holy Light. I'm more offended by them calling that a capital H, because it absolutely is not. Thankfully, they changed the font. And it's a 3-cost white instant. Non-white creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn. And, of course, they had to put, bathed in hallowed light, the infidels looked upon the impurities of their souls and despaired. That's like advanced racism. That's like some Mark of Cain shit right there. Just don't even look it up. Just don't even waste your time looking up how stupid these white supremacists are. So next up, Reign of Terror. We got the Oonga Boonga witch doctor floating around on his magic, tribal magic, killing all the white folks. Oh shit, I mean literally it says bury all white creatures or bury all green creatures. Lose 2 life for each creature put into the graveyard in this way. I mean, when you do the accuracy versus caricature debate, that's a caricature, okay? Next up, it's just the card book burning. When has book burning ever been done by a good authoritarian regime? At least they put a pun on the flavor text. The wizard spellbook was full of burning questions. Haha, whoops. And Mr. Burn the Book on the left looks a little bit German. Just throwing that out there. Just the hair to the face, yeah. Although the totality of the artwork would be, oh crap, you just cut my book in half, you dick, I used that. And then because it's a wizard spellbook, it lit on fire because that's what happens when you destroy a wizard spellbook, I guess. Like, there's literally nothing offensive about this. Which is why they are 100% definitely going to ban this. And also, that depiction on the right is pretty offensive to the natives of the game Mortal Kombat. And then I'm throwing this one in. I don't get it. Everybody recommended mass calcify. Oh, destroy all non-white creatures. Oh, and then non-white creatures are depicted as, like, ooh, evil devil looking. Like, really? It says creatures. They're clearly not humans. Like, so what? It's called mass calcify. What, was calcium ever used to attack somebody? What the hell? I could honestly see even wizards not banning this one. Like, it's a stretch upon a stretch upon a stretch. But then there's Enchanted Being. I'm going to play the clip.
Hey, how did you...
Sometimes things ain't really broken. It's the way we treat them that needs to be fixed.
There can be only one magical Negro!
They're lampooning the fact that in Hollywood, apparently, if you're going to throw in, like, especially an old black character, that they're magic. Because apparently all black people are magic. It's not a very well-known stereotype, but it's a stereotype nonetheless. It has cited examples. I mean, like, legitimately in multiple cultures, it is kind of like this offensive stereotype that, oh, well, they're less civilized, so they all do magic. They still rely on that old 1,000 years ago, you know, tribal magic. Oh, look at the Jamaicans. Look at the African witch doctors. Oh, so if they're going to be a non-white character, they're going to be the magical enchanted being. If you think about it, that character in any movie where, like, some wise old magical character shows up, how often are they actually white? I'm convinced if you cut out some kind of, like, Merlin reference, it's zero. Now, clearly, they're just like, they're summoning an enchanted being from another realm, and then why would they make them all white? Like, this is literally just representation. But then again...
You're a magical Negro, too.
Who you call a Negro, bitch?
Then there's Field of Dreams. This is another fantastic, like, is it cultural appropriation? Is it a caricature? Is it, oh, all Japanese people dressed like this and did this with the masks? Or is it like, no, actually, that's what this is? I'm going to say, since this is outside the Kamigawa set, that this is probably leaning towards offensive. But it's well within the 99% of people don't give a shit range. Obviously, people are like, yeah, that's what they were going for. It's like, yeah, the masks were a thing, now they're on a card. So what? They're not making fun of it. Until you notice that there's an Ace of Hearts up her sleeve calling all Asians cheaters. So next up, there's Angry Mob. That's just insensitive to protesters. They're not all rioters, they're not all burning stuff. You can't call them all an angry mob. Plus, it's a white card. That's just even funnier. Next up, we got Dwarf Song. I mean, first of all, haha, little people are funny looking. Secondly, I mean, let's just play pick the caricature. I'm going to say Italian, Spaniards, and possibly Jewish people. And then the card starts with change the color of one or more target creatures. Change it to a racially insensitive caricature of little people. So we've reached the end of the video, which is the perfect time to reveal a little secret. I lied. I kept the most offensive one for last. You knew I was gonna. Come on. Landtax is bad, but my God, do we have an amazing one for last. We've got Greed, where somebody literally just time traveled to 1936 Germany and took a picture of a poster on a wall. Holy shit, it's like an amalgamation of like rich stuck-up British kings, Asian people, and Jewish people. It all stuck together in one. That's amazing. It takes talent to make something this racist. A balding, buck-toothed, beady-eyed guy hugging a poorly drawn stack of gold coins, and they put it on the card called Greed. And then the quote is, there is no calamity greater than lavish desires, there is no greater guilt than discontentment, and there is no greater disaster than greed. From Lao Tzu, in case you didn't see the Asian bucktooth 1940s stereotype, it's Lao Tzu from the Tao Te Ching translated. I mean, by a stretch, it's like a Vietnamese gambling reference, and just, wow. I think we have a winner, guys. Yeah, it's about a $5 card. They're going to ban this. By the way, something interesting that I noticed was yesterday, after they announced the 7 cards they're banning, they all shot up in price and sold out everywhere. A lot of MTG investors don't usually hear, hey, this card isn't legal to play anywhere anymore, and then buy it all up. Oh, the demand just went down? Let me buy every copy. Send them all to me. So what happened? Are people just that dumb? Do they think this is kind of like the baseball misprint, or oh, they missed this kind of thing? Or that one baseball card where the 2 murderers are in the background in the stands? Like, are they really dumb enough to think this is that kind of situation? Or, my theory, Wizards bought up all the copies of these cards worldwide. So just think whatever you want about that. So anyway, that's your adventure through greatly exaggerated racism and actual racism that they clearly did not catch in our wonderful card game Magic the Gathering. So anyway, thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. I mean, how could you not have? This was hilarious. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait until these abominations are removed from our game. Just kidding, I don't give a shit.